Space, the final frontier. Well, okay, not really. All right, take two. Here in the Mitten State, welcome to Code 47, bringing you all things Star Trek, spanning the quadrants, the best thing since the neutral zone.
Hello, SFU community and Trekkers everywhere. We're back. It's been a little break. I was on a little vacation, joined by my co-host today, April. Hello, dear.
Hello.
And we're coming at you with a special that we've not done in a couple of years because we didn't attend. But going back to 2023, April and I, and then again in 2024, and now just recently, April and I have been very fortunate to attend the Star Trek Cruise, which is a great event put on by Entertainment Cruise Partners. Am I getting that right?
Entertainment Cruise Productions.
Well, it is a production, all right. That April and I just kind of stumbled upon back in 2022, or at least that was kind of how we figured it out. Did we figure out we knew about it beforehand, but maybe?
I think we knew about it beforehand because you had sent me an email at one point. So I was on an email, like a subscription for them. So I was getting updates, but we never pulled the trigger because we kept saying, oh, this is too expensive. We can't afford it.
Right.
And then we saw them in Chicago and found out that there was a payment plan.
Right. And because on board the ship, they have what's known as the morale officers. It's this crew of young ladies who are, they liaise, help people out with their experience and stuff. And two of the ones who are there can never keep their names straight, except for, we remember Ashley. She's like our main person. And I don't think it was
Ashley
her, but
and Cindy, but no, it was the one with the glasses.
The one with the glasses who I feel so bad, especially if through by hook or by crook she hears this. I can see her face, and her name it's like 5 letters. And is it Donna? I don't know. But anyway, now we're getting into the weeds. But anyway, we discovered that, and we ended up signing up on this deal. And yeah, they had a payment plan, which is obviously that varies greatly, but it certainly helps people really of any means be able to attend, which is something that is very much not an inexpensive experience. But we're gonna go through a little bit about. We're not going to belabor the point. We're just going to talk a little bit about our experience. So this year's cruise, the same as the 2024 cruise, ported out of Florida. Port Canaveral, Florida, which has been an hour east of Orlando. I myself, not the biggest fan of Florida in general, but it certainly was a welcome respite to the kind of weather that we've had here in Michigan, and really, in a lot of ways, all over the country in the first part here in the first quarter of 2026. A lot of snow and cold, and we got down there, and the weather was pretty darn nice. But yeah, we got down Thursday evening in plenty of time to check into a hotel overnight, and got up the next morning, and then we shuttled on to the boat. And it was, we were having a great time from the get-go, but a cruise like this certainly echoes, some of the things that people loathe the most about going to any convention, which is standing in a lot of lines, because I got to stand on a long line to get on the ship. But we were fortunate because we saw some friendly and familiar faces pass us on the way. Friend of the show and someone who I've been happy to associate with, Larry Nemechek, and a group of people, including Armin Shimmerman and his wife, Katie Swink, who we've been lucky enough to have also here on the show, passed us by, and we all got to say a quick hello. So that just kind of ramped up the excitement. And, you're standing in line with people. This is a ship that holds like 3,500 people, somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 people. Mm-hmm. And they sell out. They certainly did this year. I feel like maybe they did the prior year that we went. We did miss last year, which was a bummer, because in 2025 it was the 30th anniversary of Star Trek Voyager. They had darn near the whole cast of that show there, which is not something they were able to really accomplish really with any other show, because they really can't with Star Trek The Next Generation, because Patrick Stewart is not is astronomically expensive, as I understand it. I hear that Michael Dorn is really not into it. He's done the cruise in the past, but didn't have a great experience. But that being done, we kind of set our sights getting back on board, and they had a pretty stellar group of folks. They kick it off with your top biller, who was only there for a couple of days, was William Shatner. Shatner was the guest our first year. I talked about our retrospective experience there, where I stood up in his panel and asked a question, which he didn't like, and then he yelled at me, which is what Bill does because he's in his 90s, and I thought it was delightful. We didn't attend his panel this year. I think we kind of felt like the Bill show is kind of like monkeys in the zoo. You know, you've seen them all. So I know I wasn't really super enthusiastic about that, but
I was fine missing it.
Yeah, there are cruise guest regulars. Jonathan Frakes, again, has appeared on our show, and I'm a lifelong fan of him and his character of William and Thomas Riker. Marina Sirtis, Deanna Troi attending, decided to kick off her appearance by having some very colorful remarks in the introductions, which happen top deck. April and I had a great spot because we were standing behind the stage on the second level at like a 45-degree angle to like the top of the stage. So we got to see everybody as they walked out, but didn't necessarily get to see them as they turned around. But yeah, Marina jumped in there and had some very colorful things to say about the current political climate in the United States right now, of which she does now live in the United Kingdom. So she really does feel that strongly about it. But lots of other great guests that we've bumped into the past. Of course, Armin and Kitty, we had mentioned. Max Grodenchik, who is Rom on Deep Space Nine, who does appear to be somewhat suffering in age. I don't know too much more about it. Certainly, I didn't ask around, but he did seem a little bit slowed down, but it was wonderful that he was there. Somebody who I personally got to see a couple of different times to chat with was Chicago, Illinois' own Todd Stashwick. Super fun guy, Captain Liam Shaw of the third season of Star Trek Picard. We bumped into him. I think we bumped into him right away and chatted him up a little bit. Of course, for the purpose of the show, I was handing out a lot of cards, trying to talk up the show in our spotlight segment, because of course I'm very interested in having more Star Trek people be a part of it, and I had a lot of great experiences with that. I'm not going to drop any names because I think that would be kind of gauche, but I really did make some great contacts that I think will bear fruit as you continue to listen to our spotlight show right here, obviously on the network, and then also on our Patreon as well. But all right, so babe, talk to me about what were some of the things that you probably enjoyed the most about the cruise experience. I, of course, have my big couple ones, which I'll talk about as we go on. But, you know, we're on day one. We're getting into the flow of things. Like, how are you feeling?
Yeah. So day one, we wore our Trekkers against...
Trekkies Against Fascism.
Trekkies Against Fascism shirts.
Yeah.
And they were very popular.
Popular people on the boat. Yeah.
Yes. Everybody loved the shirts. I mean, I saw just a couple of other people wearing the same shirt, but we wore them right out the gate. And we had an elevator ride with Walter. And
right. Walter Koenig, Chekhov.
Yeah. He commented on the shirt and then had a brief discussion about some great news that we heard.
Right.
It didn't really bear much fruit, but you know,
right.
He chatted with us a little bit, which, you know, later on we spent a little bit more time with Walter, but I thought that was fun. I don't know. I liked that we had a good view of the welcome, because I feel like we've been down below before, but we didn't actually ever stand above everyone so that we could see them really well.
Right.
Yeah. It was a beautiful day.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I feel like as opposed to and again, my memory kind of stretches a little bit, but our first cruise was out of LA, which was a big thrill because we'd not been to LA. We actually got to see some sights. We took a great tour after that was over. But I feel like that weather back and forth too, that was kind of down the western Mexican shore in a couple of stops there. Well, maybe the weather wasn't as great. This weather was pretty good. It was interrupted by a single period of rain, but it was really pretty warm. And I got to enjoy playing pickleball 3 days in a row, which I certainly don't get to do at home, and I certainly don't get to do in February. So that was pretty exciting. But yeah, I'll touch a bit more back about that. But yeah, the week was just filled with, some, some time above deck in the pool and the hot tub. We didn't do a ton of that. We probably did less milling around outside of the ship. But again, these whatever of the seas, the explorer of the seas or the mariner of the seas. And this one was, which boat was this again that we were on? Adventure of the Seas. They're all kind of similar, but also a little bit different. So I just remember the first one we did had like the mini golf course. Golf course was like on the front of the ship, and that provided like more stuff to stand on to see off the front of the ship or whatever it is. So I don't know. Minor difficult kind of differences, but we also didn't do like any of the we didn't go down I was to say the slip and slide, the little water tubey thing, or the flow rider deal. So it's like there's a lot of little stuff we didn't do. But there was some stuff that we did that we really enjoyed. I think in some cases with people doing these cruises, not entirely, but people end up kind of falling into two buckets. You get people who engage the way that we did, where you're really interested in the programming. You want to listen to actors talk. You want to go into the panels for the individual shows. But I was really, they have, not only all of these great guests, and I'm not going to remember, I'm going to struggle with their names. We did have three of the four principals from Star Trek Lower Decks, including Eugene Cordero, who we recently interviewed on this program, Tawny Newsome, who I would love to have on this show, but I'm a very big fan of everything she does, and Noelle Wells, who is a attendee on that show, who's also an SNL alum. I would love to have bumped into her and chatted with her about that, but she'll also be on next year, so I will endeavor to do that then. One thing that I did notice, you and I remarked this quite a bit, is that we just didn't feel like we saw the actors roaming around as maybe as much as we did in previous years. One thing that I was greatly disappointed about, and this is no fault of anyone's of mine, is that I did not get to see and chat with John Billingsley from Star Trek Enterprise, who has been on our network many times. We've done some PSAs for charities that he's a part of, including the Pancreatic Cancer Society, and including the Hollywood Food Coalition, of which we've done some PSAs. I wanted to see him and give him a hug and chat him up. Never saw him outside of being on the stage, and I looked. And that's the real beauty of overall going on the cruise, is that when you weigh it against something like, hey, I'm going to go to this show because these, two Star Trek people are guests at this Comic-Con, or these three, or I got to go over here to do this. When you're on a cruise ship, everybody is just there, and certainly it is possible for someone like Bill Shatner to be on for 2 days and then leave and nobody ever sees him. Certainly that's possible. But the majority of the actors, I don't really feel like that's the case. But I think maybe some more than others. Like I said, we bumped into Stashwick right away because he's just walking around, or he's just kind of jumping in an elevator. Yeah, he's just jumping in an elevator like anybody else. Yeah.
There were a couple people that we ran into all the time, but like you said, it just seemed to be quieter this time.
Yeah.
Now, all of the celebrities are in suites, which are available on certain decks, and they have special lounge access. So it's possible that they were spending more time off in their private areas. And we already know, like, Jeannie Francis comes on the cruise, but we never see her,
right?
Because
we saw her walking on the boat. That was that was about
the only
it.
Time.
Yeah.
Because they have that other more private access, and I'm sure that they're enjoying their room and their suite and all of the benefits that come with it.
Right. We did see Nana visit her a couple of times. Nana, again, a guest on the show not that long ago. Very pleasant woman. Just absolutely love talking to her. Got to participate in my first Star Trek book club because there were 2 books. I read one of the 2 books because that's what I made time for. Those were run by Rob Perlman, who is a well-known Star Trek author and huge fan. So I hope to have on the show again in an interview capacity, or maybe even as a guest host in the near future. That was great. Made some friends with that. We bumped into our friends, the Trivia Sisters. We have two friends. It's Rachel and Ilana, who are from the Pacific Northwest originally, but they now both live overseas. One lives in France, the other lives in the UK. They have the occasion to do this cruise together because they both love Star Trek. We met them last cruise, and now we are great pals. But it also led us to one of the more memorable events of the cruise, which was the last evening. Well, don't let me get ahead of myself. My big thrill, I mentioned I got to play pickleball 3 times. We would get up in the morning and play. But I realized I was talking about the buckets a minute ago. The buckets of us going to the panels and I get to chat with Michael Okuda as we were walking on to Coco Cay, which was one of the destinations, or hear Michael Westmore talk, or meet Jonathan West, who is a great Star Trek director and director of photography, who's making a documentary. Or spent a lot of time talking to Rod Roddenberry of
a lot of time.
Gene Roddenberry's son, who we've had on the show, and his partner Trevor Roth in Roddenberry Entertainment. Both really great guys that we spent a lot of time talking to. In a lot of ways, kind of a bigger thrill of people who like seeing kind of how the sausage is made and kind of the legacy of the series and things for the future. But I think one thing that you and I have talked about that we should have been a little bit better on was attending more of the social events, because you and I, early risers, we would be like, we're going to get our coffee at 6:00 and we'll be off to the day. Well, when you get your coffee at 6:00 and you're off to the day, you are ready to be sleeping at 10:00, which is what it's like being a teenager, right?
And that's when the parties start.
That's when the parties
start until the very end of the day. Until like midnight,
2,
1:00 in the morning.
And we missed,
we were sleeping.
Yeah, Tawny has a great, because her birthday is the day after mine. I celebrated my 50th birthday in San Juan, Puerto Rico, which was awesome.
Yes, and her birthday party starts 11:30 on your birthday.
Yeah, exactly.
So that it rolls into her birthday.
And they had it in the studio, in one of the studios of the ship. So it was a big area. They were up on a stage, and it was just totally crazy. And we missed it because we were like, "Oh, we don't think we really don't want to." And I regret it because it was crazy, and it really does look like fun. So I think when we attend, in 2027, we're going to be better about it. Although
we're going to sleep in.
Yeah. We're going to sleep in. We're going to skip the coffee because the coffee was bad a couple of days, but we like, waking up and seeing the sunrise because we have a balcony view, which is pretty cool, and all that kind of good stuff. So anyway, those are the 2 buckets. And it's like right now, April is yawning because we get up at 5:30 and we're recording this at like 8:15 and we were watching the show before this and she was nodding off. So it happens. This is our first day back to work in over a week. And anyone who's ever had a longer vacation and then goes back to work knows exactly what I'm talking about. So as we start to, because we could go on and on, but the 2 big things, at least for me, to kind of wind this down was, again, I played pickleball Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and started to form a regular group, made some nice friends, and I think a lot of us will connect and play again next time. But on Thursday, we're playing. We've been playing for maybe about like 45 minutes, an hour, and we're all, there's 3 courts. There were two courts full, and we were between games and having a chat. And I turned to my left, and standing there is Gina Yashiri, one of the stars of Starfleet Academy. She plays the cadet master. Lursa Thar. I'm gonna script the character's name, but you know who I'm talking about if you've watched the show. Avid pickleball player, wanted to play with us. We were all flipping out. So her first match, she played with the other team, but I was like, we got to wrap this up because I really want to play with her. Second match, she's my teammate, and I'm like, oh my god. And April and I had bumped into her at the elevator the night before, so I'd already introduced myself, give her my card, blah blah. Love to talk to you on the show. So I got to play with her. I won playing with her, and then I switched sides and was playing with one of the regular dudes, a guy named Ash from Canada, and the person who was playing with Gina was another nice young lady from Canada, Catherine, who looks a bit like Kate Mulgrew. She looked like Catherine Janeway. And it was hilarious to me every time, and all very tongue-in-cheek. But if Catherine would miss a shot, Gina would say in her very Cockney accent, like the cadet master, "Catherine, what are you doing, Catherine?" And it was, as I said, it was all very much in good fun, and we had an absolutely great time. Definite highlight. Probably, we also were really bad at getting pictures with anybody because, again, you don't generally take snaps of if you see one of the actors because obviously they're there doing autographs and photographs, which is not something that you and I are really into.
Yeah, and they're actually not supposed to.
Right, and we had asked, and I had said, "Hey, is this okay if we do a picture with you?" And she says, "Well, yeah, it's pickleball, so it's like it was outside of that." So I got to stop and have a nice chat with Doug Jones, who I've not seen in several years. He is a wonderful guy. He remembered me, which I thought was great because he meets 80 bajillion people. But he worked so hard. It was early in the week and he was like, "Yeah, man, I got to go study my lines for this thing I'm doing." And fortunately, a lot of my stuff, but he just looked so exhausted. And so, but probably the most exceptional performer on the boat is Doug Jones, and somebody who really does give everything his all. So I just absolutely give him props. But that was a big thrill, and here's to hoping that Gina's on the boat next year. That they don't try to monetize our pickleball. That would suck.
Yes.
If they try to take that away from us. But talk about our last night. Talk about our last night. We were in one spot all night.
We were. So the last night is karaoke. Just as a brief overview before I go into quick karaoke, every night there is a theme night for the parties and other events, but there's also always some type of show that the actors are actually participating in. So there might be a variety show where they're all singing, or there's some other kind of show where they're all singing. It tended this year, it felt like it was almost all singing.
All singing, all dancing.
I mean, they're all very talented, even as singers, which is impressive, but I felt like that's really all they did. But anyway, the last night, there's always karaoke. There's karaoke multiple times, but karaoke on the last night is countertenor usually. And this time it was the 3 main actors from Enterprise.
Right. It was Anthony Montgomery, who is delightful. He was somebody else we bumped into all the time. And Dominic Keating, who Dominic and Connor have done several podcasts together. They do the Decon Chamber currently. I hope I'm not screwing that up. But yes, very nice guys.
Yes. And the sisters that we sat with actually knew Dominic very well and knew his wife. And that was interesting too. So they were like chatty. And in the middle, there were chairs set up for trivia.
Right.
And when trivia ended and karaoke started, they were getting rid of all the chairs. Well, Walter was sitting there. Right.
And it's very almost sitting there kind of not paying attention to what was going on.
No, because the person who was with him, and I don't know, his caretaker, the person that was helping him that week, I don't know if it was a relative or a friend of the family, but she was there. She wanted to sing karaoke. So they came to trivia so that she would be there to sign up. And so they moved Walter to sit next to us in our little booth, which was very cool.
Yeah.
And his caretaker came over and sat with us as well. And she ended up singing. She was beautiful. Walter was having a great time listening to her. There was a couple times during karaoke that he got up and was dancing.
It was crazy.
Fantastic.
Absolutely awesome.
And then, of course, the end of the night, the very last song is...
Yes. So kind of a 3-part thing. I went and jumped to the karaoke line to sign up because I wanted April and I to do a duet. And and it was when I interviewed Connor Trenier on our show months ago off pod, he had said, well, I think you guys should do Islands in the Stream, because April and I were going to do a duet 2 years ago. And again, we ran out of time. And what Connor told us, we rode the elevator with him to leave back in 2024. And he said, it was the next one that got drawn. And I was like, I can't even believe it. So I said, hey, you got to make sure that we get in, and he didn't, and that's okay. It's not his job.
Right.
But I went up about 20 minutes before things were going to end, and I asked the morale officers, hey, I had put April and I in for Paradise by the Dashboard Lights, which would have been really interesting to have us try. She says, no, I don't think you're going to make it. And so I'm like, oh, all right. Well, I sit down and I'm still listening. A lot of great performances, but where this is going is one of the first performances was somebody trying to sing Faith of the Heart, which is the much derisive or derided pop song, which was the theme song to Star Trek Enterprise, of which these three gentlemen were the stars of. And I will say he did less than stellar. So as things are winding down, the last song of the night, one or three of the actors said, well, I want somebody to jump up here and sing Faith of the Heart with us. And I said, me. And Connor asked me the same question that he asked me when I told him we were going to do Islands in the Stream, of which was not in the system, by the way. They couldn't find it. He says, are you any good? And I said, yes, sir. And I got up there and had my fucking 15 minutes of fame singing the shit out of this song. The boys were all joining, the three guys up on stage were joining me. Everybody in the audience was waving. It was the equivalent of my free bird, and everybody was waving their hands with the little lights on their phone going. And this was a great way to commemorate 25 years of Star Trek Enterprise. It was magic. April shot a video. If you followed any of my socials, still photos, and that video is out there. I posted it on the cruise groups, and more than 200 likes, which is a lot for a guy like me. It was amazing. Even my father watched the video and said that I had a wonderful voice. But I'm like,
you did have a wonderful voice. I thought you did a fantastic job.
I really enjoyed it, and it really is a lovely song if you get past, all the hating on it. And the thing is, more to the point, everybody was enjoying themselves, and it really personified, I think, what the cruise is all about, which is just enjoyment.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely terrific. And then it was past midnight, so it was way past our bedtime. So we got to bed and we're up and off the boat. We stayed in Orlando another day because one of your brothers lives down there. We got together with him and his wife at Disney Springs. And then we got home on Saturday. So, boy, I just absolutely have to tell you, and I tell this to every person that I meet, just kind of in conclusion, if there's a way you can make it happen, and right now I'm after Peter, who you hear record this show with me every other week, and his twin brother, who are both huge Star Trek fans. I said, find a way to get yourself on this boat, even if you get the smallest room in the bowels of the ship. You will just do it. Just absolutely, because you will never look, and I say this time and again, and perhaps it sounds snooty, perhaps it doesn't, you will never look at another fan event, whether it be a Comic-Con or a Star Trek con. I would put this head and shoulders over Star Trek Las Vegas. That's a hill that I'll die on. Everybody thinks Star Trek Las Vegas is the greatest thing since sliced bread. You and I went back in 2023, which was the first year we went on those cruises. Those were our 2 vacations this year. And granted, and we did a podcast when we did that as well. Granted, that was the year that the strike was going on, and I'm very glad that the strike was resolved appropriately for all of our friends in SAG-AFTRA. Of course, here on the show, we supported them both emotionally and financially. We did contribute. But for all of that, getting... if half of the people or more than half of the people, you can only see them if you buy an autograph or a photograph, and it's their right to do so, it's not a thrill to me. The vendor's room, you can only do, you and I did like 50 laps around the vendor's room. It was not exciting.
And we did.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The programming, and again, it was limited by what they could talk about because the strike was going on, was still just not very exciting. Plus, you're in a room of like 5,000 people or so. It's like when I went to Michigan State and I went to Econ 101 and there's 800 seats in the amphitheater. It's not that would be exciting, but it was just, when you're sitting in one of these and you're having a panel where people can ask questions and you're not 500 feet away and the actors it's not like going to a rock concert. You know what I mean? You're sitting in this theater where any seat is a good seat. You can see what's going on. There is no comparison. If you are a Star Trek fan and you're serious about it like I am, or if you like going on cruise ships and you're serious about it like April is, because April is crazier about this experience than me, even though I like it a whole lot, this is the thing for you. And again, I'm glad we're doing this now because tickets for 2027 actually go on sale by the time you're listening to this. We're going to publish this on Wednesday, which is the 4th of March, and on March 5th they go on sale. So I would I would highly encourage it, because it does sell out, and it may do so very quickly. So I would encourage you. And again, this is not a paid promotion for Star Trek: The Cruise. This is just somebody who loves it very dearly and believes that it is the best of the best of an experiences, and the friends that you make, everybody really walks the same path. We all love this kind of stuff. If you get seasick, I'm sorry, it's not the experience for you. But if you don't, if you can handle being at sea, and you want to see a little bit of the world and experience, some foreign cultures in a safe and somewhat sanitized way, they do have great excursions where we go too. So even if you want to experience cultures in maybe a way that's not as safe and a little risky, I know we had some excursion planned. That the first one was this cascading thing of waterfalls that at the last moment April decided it was not for her, and that's okay. But we did in San Juan do this great tour of a couple of the forts there and learn a little bit of the history there. It was absolutely fantastic. It's an easy way to see a little bit of the world without having the hustle and bustle of, I got to get on a plane, or I got to get on a bus, or I got to do this thing. Once you're on the cruise ship, it takes you where you need to go. So that's my shtick. Honey, any parting thoughts?
Basically, it's just getting to spend time with the celebrities and seeing them in a different light, like seeing Tad Stashwick sing Time Warp. And
oh my God.
He actually did a D&D game and lessons that we missed.
Yeah. We missed. I feel so bad. I really did.
There's only so much content you can actually watch. So
physically,
if you do sign up, you just have to be aware that there's no way you're going to make every single event, because there are overlapping things. Being able to hear from the Akutas. I love the Akutas. They're so adorable. And not only did we hear them talk about all the behind the scenes stuff, but also how they met and how they loved Star Trek before they knew each other, and how it led to them actually meeting. And also, I cannot believe how many couples have met on the Star Trek cruise. There are so many that we saw timelines on door decorations, but also when speaking to a couple of people, there are a lot of people that met and now are in relationships on this cruise.
Right.
So something else to keep in mind. You just never know what you might find. It's
a wonderful experience at the edge of the world, as it were. But yeah, like I said, this not being a paid endorsement, obviously, but this is just the heartfelt thoughts of two people who will, God willing, be able to go on this cruise for many years to come. We absolutely adore it. So, well, with that, we'll wrap things up. Honey, where do people find you out there?
At the April Carton on Instagram.
Awesome. And as, of course, you can find me on all the socials, personally as at the C3, THECEE, also running Secret Friends Unite handles at all of those same socials. And you can find us, of course, on our website. And if you're listening to me, I'm going to run, I will share the link to this on the various Facebook cruise groups. If you're listening to this and you want to tell us about your experience, feel free to ping us on any of those socials, or certainly send us an email to our mailbag at secretfriendsunite@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you as well. But we will return you to your regularly scheduled Code 47 program, where we're going to come back and talk more about Starfleet Academy in just a couple of weeks with another special guest host. But until then, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring, and to keep on trekking.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.